Triangle 6.
Roger, that's the only one I've got right there where the pointer is.
Welcome back to the DCS SITREP, everyone. Thanks for tuning in again. I'm your host, Prickly Hedgehog, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the F-15, which Eagle Dynamics announced was available for pre-order last week. You can pick it up in the e-store right now for 30% off, around about $55 or so. So go in and check it out if that is something that you're interested in. This mighty aircraft has been in development for several years, and finally, after a long wait, hopefully in the near future, it will be available to fly in early access. Right now, as I said, it is available as a pre-order in the eShop from Eagle Dynamics and the RASBAM team. So what can we expect from this amazing aircraft, this two-seat aircraft that is purpose-built as a two-person aircraft in-game, in keeping with the realism and authenticity of one of the most combat-ready aircraft available in the game, and indeed in real life, barring some changes in the way that air warfare is evolving right now. One of the key features of this aircraft, of course, is the very potent radar, which, according to the blurb here and based on the snippets that we've already seen from RASBAM, will be one of the more potent radars in the game. Now, according to Eagle Dynamics and RASBAM, the Strike Eagle was developed in the mid-1980s as a multi-role fighter. It was designed to perform air-to-air and air-to-ground missions. This basically used a pre-existing airframe and beefed it up a little bit, strengthened it, and allowed it to become a true multi-role aircraft. Now, it has an impressive array of avionics and electronic systems to give the F-15 the ability to fight at low or high altitude, day or night, and also in all weather. It remains today, as old as it is, the premier strike fighter for the US Air Force, although there's a lot of work going into the F-35, which, if you listen to the latest podcast from Ward Carroll featuring Paco Benitez, who is in fact a former F-15E Wizzo, that platform could be the one which replaces most other aircraft in the strike roles and the air-to-air roles in the US arsenal, and there's some really interesting concepts surrounding that which not everyone agrees with. Nonetheless, that is highly likely the direction that we're headed. In the interim, of course, the F-15 is still flying, and in the past here, Strike Eagle delivered fighter aircrew several first-time capabilities, and it's in part built around this very impressive APG70 Radar, which stems from the earlier variant, the APG63, which was featured in the F-15A to D models and boasted a synthetic mapping capability that can create pictures of the target based solely on radar imaging. The aircraft has a self-contained networked electronic warfare suite which gives the aircraft excellent self-protection capabilities, with enhanced battle space information being delivered to the ergonomic two-seat cockpit layout. The low-altitude navigation and target infrared for night or lantern allows the aircraft to fly at low altitudes, at night, and in all weather conditions to attack ground targets with a variety of precision-guided and unguided weapons. The Lantern system consists of two pods which are attached to the exterior of the aircraft and gives the F-15E unequaled weapons delivery accuracy. The navigation pod contains a terrain-following radar that allows the pilot to operate at very low altitudes following cues displayed on the heads-up display. The system can also be coupled to the aircraft's autopilot to provide fully hands-off capability. Each of the low-drag conformal fuel tanks, adapted to fit smoothly into the F-15E's fuselage, can carry 750 gallons of fuel. The tanks hold weapons on short pylons rather than conventional weapon racks, reducing drag and further extending the aircraft's range. For air-to-ground missions, the F-15E can carry most of the weapons in the Air Force's inventory. It may also be armed with AIM-9M Sidewinders or AIM-120C Advanced Medium-Range Air-to-Air Missiles or AMRAAMs for the air-to-air role, The E model also has an internally mounted 20mm cannon that can carry up to 500 rounds. I'm aware from real-world videos and discussions about the F-15E is that it is capable of self-escort to and back from target. Now, the subject of this study-level simulation that Razbam has produced for Eagle Dynamics' DCS World is the F-15 Strike Eagle Suite 4E Plus software installed in Strike Eagles around 2003. So roughly 20 years ago. Nonetheless, it will still provide plenty of study, and fortunately we do have an interactive manual from Baltic Dragon being produced as well as part of this release, and it's going to provide hours of probably entertainment and also a good degree of challenges and potential frustrations as we get to grips with what will be, according to the Razbam team, the most sophisticated aircraft ever to be introduced into the DCS environment. So yeah, don't expect to be up and running in a matter of minutes. You're going to need to spend some time getting to grips with this, and it will be beneficial potentially to have a friend to come along for the ride, somebody who's willing to either fly the front seat for you or be willing to be a wizzo in the back seat. It's going to be a potent platform in the right hands, I think, and in the right scenarios. So lots and lots of potential with this particular aircraft. So according to the blurb here again, the key features include the following: the advanced flight model, which provides a realistic performance and flight characteristics for the F-15E Strike Eagle with the Pratt & Whitney F100 PW229 engines. There will be a highly detailed external 3D model, which we've seen snippets of already, and textures for the most accurate F-15E currently available in any simulation software. Highly detailed and accurate 6 degrees of freedom cockpit based on 3D scanned objects with high resolution textures, specular and bump mapping, and mouse interactive controls. And presumably that obviously means ones that you can map to external controllers as well. Always beneficial if you have those. Detailed and thorough simulation of the F-15E's APG70 Radar, and you can check some of that out on Razbam's official channel for more information, tutorials, and snippets about how that radar functions, which is going to be potent Joint Tactical Information Distribution Systems, or JTIDS, data link. And getting back to that radar again, I believe the discussion I heard a few weeks ago was that the same person who was modeling and updating the radar in the Mirage 2000C, which is also a Razbam product, has worked on the radar for the Strike Eagle, and positive comments have come from the community about the implementation and update to that Mirage radar. So expect nothing less than from this particular radar as a really interesting simulation, and can't wait to see what they've done with that and how it's going to interact with the DCS environment. Now, no aircraft would be complete without some sort of training material, because otherwise you're really flying blind in terms of how to get the best out of this aircraft. So there is a set of interactive training missions covering all the most important instruments, weapons, and aspects of using the aircraft, a fully detailed manual for the aircraft and all its systems, a free story-driven campaign which has been built by Baltic Dragon, and a set of single-player missions for single-player, multiplayer, and multi-crew. Yeah, a lot to digest. 30% off, like I said, in the eStore right now, and there was a little bit of a hiccup from the Eagle Dynamics team. It was apparently not available on the 15th as promised, which was Wednesday of last week, depending on which part of the world you're in. And I believe somebody had said, or there was discussion that that was caused by something to do with the Steam eStore issues. And then it was posted as available on Eagle Dynamics website on the 17th, so a 2-day delay. And then somebody had an accident, and the $24 price was listed, which was actually the discount amount. So basically it was being sold for 70% off in the eStore briefly, and that caused the site to crash pretty quickly. They quickly took it down and had to rectify that. So not the most smooth start to its release, with delays and what have you. This is expected, unfortunately, with these modules. We've seen it before many times. So now we're just hoping that the early access release, which was promised a few months in advance here, also goes smoothly, and we don't see unnecessary delays in its delivery to early access. And I am hoping if everything goes according to plan, that I can get some early access, pre-early access release itself, just to have a little tinker, maybe showcase some things that we can to the public before it actually gets released, and hopefully showcase the potency of this weapon and the fun that you're going to have with this type of aircraft in the game, which joins, you know, a growing list of two-seater aircraft, predominantly in the helicopter era or area. Obviously we have the Hind, we have the Apache, we also have the F-14 as a true two-seater jet aircraft. This will join the F-14, but of course it's going to be so much more potent than the F-14 with a more modernized radar. And these radars are still being used today, believe it or not. They aren't being produced anymore, but there is, based on discussions that I've been listening to, you know, when you have a very, very powerful radar, you can do a lot. It brings a lot of situational awareness. Even an older radar like this, there's no substitute for a large aircraft having a very large radar. You get a lot of SA and a lot of power to see very, very long distances. It's one of the advantages that the F-14 had, although that radar is a lot older than the one that we're going to get in the F-15E. So expect a lot more detail and a lot more potency in terms of what information that radar brings back. So several aircraft flying together are going to be quite a powerful and formidable opposition opponent. And of course that does raise questions about, well, what do we have on the other side of things, because there is a lack, unfortunately, of Red 4 aircraft that can compete. Of course the challenge is we don't really know just how well some of these Red 4 aircraft of equivalent status would compete. We're talking here the Su-27, Su-30s, so on and so forth. Razbam is working on the MiG-23, but that is, you know, fairly old technology compared to the F-15E. We generally recognize that Western nations have a little bit of an edge in terms of electronic weapons, and electronic equipment tends to be better produced, it tends to be, you know, more potent, and obviously it slots in nicely with other aircraft to build SA. So again, it would be nice to have more Red 4 aircraft that can compete, but that is the nature of, to some extent, the world we live in, and unfortunately there are limitations to Eagle Dynamics getting hold of some of these Red 4 aircraft legally and able to reproduce the systems that they have. Whether or not we can get any of those. The MiG29 has been discussed many, many times now. A possible former East German MiG29 variant has been the subject of discussion in the past, like I said, but we have no clues yet as to whether or not such an aircraft would ever materialize. So speculation is all we can give you right now, unfortunately, but it would be nice to have something a little bit more of a full fidelity Red 4 later model than some of the aircraft that we've had. No drama with the Cold War, 50s, 60s, early 60s. The MiG-21 is an example, and we're seeing others as well starting to emerge, but there's a lot of people looking for a late 70s, 80s, 90s Red 4 aircraft that we can, you know, go toe-to-toe with some of these Gen 4 aircraft that we have from the Western stables. So stay tuned, is all I can say. We'll wait and see if any of that materializes. We're still waiting, of course, for the Phantom. Heat Blur have indicated that they're close, but we're going to have to wait and see when an exact release. Somebody asked recently if the Phantom has been released. It has not, unfortunately. I expect the early access F-15 to be released first, of course, and then at a later stage this year, the Phantom will materialize out of the ether and be available for us to get our hands on, much to the community's excitement. And yeah, we'll see what this year produces in terms of other aircraft. We've got maps on the road here, the World War II map, the Normandy 2 variant from UGRA apparently isn't too far away. They're working on VRAM optimization, according to a comment on my channel from WAGS. So there's a lot to look forward to this year, and one of them is going to be the Strike Eagle, and spending some time enjoying it. It's a big aircraft, there's no question about that. That's one of its foibles, if you like. It's just, as I've heard some current and former pilots describe it, it's as big as a house. But one of the advantages of that, as I said, is that powerful radar and of course the amount of weapons that it can carry into the battle zone to strike at targets in a wide variety of weather and situations. So that is going to be fun to get my head around, and I'm sure that many of you are feeling very, very, very similar. And it'll join nicely to then things like the Tornado, which is a low-level, really, strike aircraft, and a lot less sophisticated in many respects than the Eagle, of course handled in the right way. That can also be a potent platform, and once again it will be a two-person aircraft by the sounds of things, and joins, as I said, this growing stable of multiplayer, multi-crew aircraft, which, you know, creates some interesting scenarios, I think, for DCS, and for those of you particularly in virtual squadrons and also multiplayer environments where that is a feature that people enjoy. It's not everyone's cup of tea, I totally realize that, and there's a lot of people that are, well, actually the predominant number of people in the game are single players, so that does present some interesting problems too. But at the same time, I kind of enjoy the direction that this kind of platform brings and what it means for the future of DCS. Alright, well that will do for this week. Thanks for tuning in again to the DCS SITREP. Let me know if you enjoyed the video today by liking and subscribing if you haven't already done so. We're still chugging along to that 10,000 subscribers, which I'm hoping to get to this year. We were close towards the end of last year, so it should be feasible to get to it this year. Don't forget to comment in the comment section below if you have an opinion about the F-15E and any of the other aircraft in the game and how it compares. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you want to support the channel a little bit more, consider the super thanks button, which I really appreciate. It helps the channel chug along, justifies some of the work being done behind the scenes here. It is incredibly taxing to do these videos, believe it or not. They are time consuming. The editing alone takes quite a bit of time. So I appreciate any support that you can give me there. As I said, it helps the channel chug along. In the interim, take care everyone. Enjoy flying out there. I'm going to enjoy a couple of days off here before I have to go back to work. Hopefully I can get some DCS time in as well. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.